What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today, I want to talk about peer pressure. Different kind of peer pressure. Now, we've all heard this term peer pressure throughout our lives. And for those who don't know, peer pressure is basically when you or a group of people pressure someone into doing something. Okay? The term peer pressure means a peer, P-E-E-R, peer, P-E-E-R, meaning someone basically on your level and equal to you. You know, like your friends or something like that. All right? So basically, when people like your friends, your so-called friends, pressure you into doing something, that's peer pressure. And peer pressure isn't always good. It isn't always bad. And it's always good. But usually that term has a negative connotation, where people pressure you into doing something that you don't want to do, and it ends up negatively for you. Well, now we have a different kind of peer pressure, a much more widespread peer pressure. And this is what I call social media peer pressure. Social media peer pressure is simply your peers that you can't see, all that stuff, your peers all over the world via the internet pressure you into doing something or saying something that you might not necessarily agree with, right? If someone or if a group of people are talking about a particular subject and they all have a specific point of view on that subject, it brings on a type of pressure to an individual to agree with that group. Because if the individual does not agree with that group, the individual is seen as an outcast and they will be treated as such. Mob mentality, basically. So, social media peer pressure is simply when you're pressured to do something, think something, say something from the realms of social media. The problem with that is most of the people who pressure you into doing something are probably following a group themselves. Most people who take on a mob mentality don't want to be ostracized by the mob. So they're peer pressured into doing or thinking or saying what the rest of the group thinks, whether or not they agree with it, because they don't want to be ostracized. And this leads to a lot of social abnormalities. You have a lot of herd mentality, people who will follow something that they don't even believe in or they don't necessarily know all the information on. They'll just agree with it because everyone else agrees with it, so they say it basically must be true. So if everyone says it's true, then you as an individual follow. You feel peer pressured into following, and if you don't agree with it, the group will turn on you and say, well, if you don't agree with the group, we will ostracize you. We will castigate. We will throw you out. We will ridicule you in the public forum. We will shame you via social media. And that leads to many people just saying, you know, even if I don't agree with it, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and I'm going to just go along with it. And you need to be careful of that, because now it's bigger. See, when I was younger, the biggest peer pressure we had was like smoking or drinking or staying out late or going to parties when we shouldn't be going. That was usually our biggest peer pressure, right? That was our biggest peer pressure. Now we have the peer pressure. Now today in social media, peer pressure is, it can be religious, it can be political, it can be sexual, it can be mental, it can be gang related, things like that. And that mentality can lead down a dark road, because 9 times out of 10, if you don't agree with something, but the group says, if you don't agree with it, then we will shame you. That's the group that you want to be around anyway. And the only difference is between peer pressure of old and now is that you can't physically see the group. So it used to be when a group would shame you, you could see the faces of the group. Now, with social media peer pressure, you can't see the faces of the group, so you don't know who really is who. You don't know who this person really is. You don't know if they believe what they really believe. You don't know them. You never seen them before. You probably will never see them again. But the group is so powerful that people will go along with the group and never have even seen physically the group themselves, the group itself. And that's dangerous. If you don't know the people, if you can identify them, and by way of that, you can check them on what they believe. So if I know you personally, and you make a comment, if I know a group personally, and they make a comment, and I know them, I can find them, I can speak with them personally, the chances of me checking them on their views are greater, as opposed to if I can't see you, I don't know your name, we've never met, and a whole group of people are saying something, and you can't physically see them to check them on their words. It makes it harder. It makes it harder to find out who's really who's telling the truth. So you gotta be careful with that. So the new peer pressure is social media peer pressure. It's far more dangerous because it's far more widespread, and it's a bunch of anonymous people, if they're people at all. It could just be computers or bots, as people say. So you really don't know. So you gotta be careful about this social media peer pressure. Social media peer pressure is the new drug now. Be careful with that, okay? Be careful. There's nothing wrong with having your own thoughts. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with something, especially if you can prove you can prove what you say, and you can verbalize it properly and articulate yourself properly. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, because you can agree to disagree. You say, well, I don't believe this, or this isn't true, and this isn't true based off of X, Y, and Z. Okay? There's nothing wrong with having your own thoughts. Now, don't be pressured to saying, well, everyone else says it's true, then it must be true. No. If you want to know if something's true, you need to research and investigate on your own to find if it's true or not. And if it is true, okay, fine. If it's not true, then there's nothing wrong with standing alone saying, no, this isn't true. And this is why it's not true. I'm going to prove why it's not true. And if the group still don't agree with you, fine. But don't be afraid to have your own mind. Okay? Don't become a victim of social media peer pressure. All right? Think for yourself. It's okay. All right? Peace.